Have you ever been there? You're out trying to stream something, maybe make a video call, or just use maps, and boom, your signal just evaporated.
Yes. Or even at home, right? Your Wi-Fi feels like it has good days and bad days no matter what speed you're paying for.
Exactly. We all just expect wireless to work. We kind of take it for granted, all these invisible radio waves making our lives possible. But what if the systems meant to make it all better, or give us more bandwidth, are actually being, well, sabotaged?
From the inside.
That's a really critical point, and it goes way beyond just, personal annoyance. The electromagnetic spectrum, the actual airwaves our devices use, it's a finite resource.
Taking a deep look into cognitive radio networks, or CRNs. This isn't just about getting faster internet, though that's nice too. It's really about making sure the super valuable radio spectrum gets used as efficiently and as securely as possible.
Right.
So we'll unpack how CRNs work, the amazing promise they hold, and then we face the threat. These malicious users trying to trick the whole system.
And our mission, really, in this deep dive, is to get our heads around a fascinating new approach. It uses this clever idea, reputation scores,
to basically expose these bad actors and keep our wireless future safe.
So by the end of this, you'll have a really good handle on some cutting-edge research that's tackling a very
seems like a limited pipe.
So these regulatory bodies, like the FCC you mentioned, they manage the spectrum. But the problem isn't just that it's limited, it's how it's used, right?
That's the key insight from a lot of studies. It's not used evenly. Think of it like a big highway system. Some lanes are totally jammed, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Right. But then other lanes, maybe entire sections of this highway, are practically empty. Underused, or sometimes just not used at all at certain times.
Okay. So wasted capacity.
A huge amount of wasted capacity.
Yeah.
It's this weird situation of being congested and empty at the same time.
And these empty lanes, these underused parts of the spectrum, those are the...
So, in CRNs, you basically have two types of users. First, the primary users, or PUs. They're the licensed owners of that bit of spectrum.
The incumbents, the ones who paid for the license.
Exactly. They have the rights. Think of them as the homeowners on the block. Then you have the secondary users, or SUs. They're unlicensed.
The visitors?
Kind of, yeah. Courteous guests. They can use the spectrum, but only, and this is the crucial bit, only when the primary users aren't
Actively using it.
So they can't interfere with the licensed folks?
Absolutely not. No interference is paramount. That's the whole point. It might be public safety radio or something critical using that band. So the SU...
It can be tricky. There are different techniques. There's something called matched filter detection. Super precise, but it needs to know exactly what the PU signal looks like beforehand.
Like knowing the tune of the song already.
Exactly. Then there are more complex statistical methods like stationary feature detection or wavelet detection that look for subtle patterns. Powerful, but they need more processing power, more info.
So what's the common approach? The practical one?
Well, for a lot of applications, the most popular one is
energy detection, or ED.
Energy detection. Okay.
Its big advantage is its simplicity. It doesn't need to know anything about the PU's signal structure. It just listens for energy.
ED is simple, but it is vulnerable to what we call channel impairments, real-world stuff that messes with radio signals.
Like what?
Things like shadowing, when you walk behind a big building and your signal drops.
You all go into a tunnel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or fading, which is that rapid up and down fluctuation in signal strength you get sometimes, maybe driving through a city with signals bouncing everywhere.
Okay, so those things could fool the energy detector.
They definitely can. A single SU might misread
A weak, faded PU signal as nothing, or mistake noise for a PU. You get false alarms or missed detections. Not reliable enough on its own.
So if one radio...
Like a neighborhood watch for radio waves.
I like that. Yeah, pretty much. Each CSU does its own local sensing, listens for energy, then they all share what they found.
What do they share?
Usually they send their energy measurements, or maybe just a simple occupied vacant decision, to a central coordinator. It's called the Fusion Center, or SC.
Okay, the FPC collects all the reports.
Right. And by combining information from different locations, that's the spatial diversity part, the FEC gets a much more accurate picture. If one CSU is at a bad spot, shadowed or faded,
Others might have a clear signal.
Ah, so pooling their observations smooths out the errors. More radios means better detection.
Exactly. It dramatically enhances detection.
Okay, CSS sounds fantastic. A really smart solution.
yeah.
But reliance on cooperation, that sounds like it could be a weak spot, doesn't it? What if some of those cooperative users aren't playing fair?
You hit the nail on the head. That's the Achilles heel. While CSS boosts reliability, it opens the door to new security headaches.
Like what kind of headaches?
Well, there are the more obvious things, like spoofing, pretending to be someone else, or jamming attacks, just blasting noise to disrupt things.
Okay, standard stuff.
But a really
Major concern, and what this research focuses on, is something more insidious. Byzantine attacks.
Byzantine attacks. Wow, that sounds dramatic. Ancient history...
to that central fusion center, the FIC.
So they're lying to the brain of the operation.
Exactly. Poisoning the well. They want the FCC to make the wrong decision about whether the spectrum is busy or free. It degrades the whole system from the inside.
That's sneaky. It's like having a spy in your neighborhood watch reporting fake sightings. How do they actually do the lying? What's the mechanism?
Let's break it down. A genuine user, a GCSU, just reports what it senses accurately. The malicious user, the MU, does something different. They take the real energy reading, let's call it EA, but report a falsified value, EA.
Okay.
How do they falsify it? Just make something up.
It's more calculated. They typically add or subtract a specific amount, what the paper calls a fixed magnitude of attack, represented by EA delta. So it's a deliberate...
Exactly. The MU sees the channel as actually vacant, free to use, but they intentionally report it as occupied, like shouting fire in a quiet theater.
Why would they do that? What's the impact?
The impact is it blocks the genuine users, the GCSUs, from accessing perfectly good available spectrum. It creates artificial scarcity, jams up the network unnecessarily, wasted opportunity.
Okay, that's one way. What's the other scenario I want?
I-1 relates to the misdetection probability. This is the opposite, and
arguably more dangerous. Here, the MU detects the channel is actually busy. The PU is transmitting, but they falsely report it as available.
Whoa, so they're saying all...
Both types of lies, false alarms, or missed detections cause the fusion center to make faulty global decisions. It messes everything up, severely degrading the system's effectiveness and security. It's digital sabotage.
Okay, it's crystal clear. These Byzantine attacks are a massive problem for CRNs. And researchers must have been working on this for a while, right? Before this new reputation idea came along.
How did people try to fight back? What were the earlier attempts?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely been an ongoing battle. People knew this was a vulnerability. There have been quite a few different approaches tried over the years.
Okay, what about actually spotting the bad data itself?
Right. A more direct approach was something called modified outlier removal spectrum sensing, or MORS.
Outlier removal? Sounds like statistics class.
Yeah, basically. It uses scats, quartile methods, to find reports that are way out of line with the others, the outliers, and just chucks them out before the fusion center makes its decision.
Just ignore the crazy reports. Seems logical.
It is logical. The problem is, what if the attacks are more subtle? What if the lies aren't wild outliers, but just slightly off? Or
what if multiple attackers coordinate to make their lies look less like outliers?
Okay. So it might miss the sneaky ones. Were there other statistical methods?
Definitely. Researchers tried.
exactly. And once it flags someone, it usually uses a weighted approach to reduce their influence on the final decision. Similar ideas are behind the soft combining score and weighted algorithm, SSWA, and principal component analysis-based anomaly detection, PCAAD. They all try to identify the bad actors and then downweight their input.
So identify and minimize impacts. That seems to be a common theme. What about detecting the attack itself rather than just the bad users?
Yeah, there were methods for that too, like block outlier
Outlier detection using things like the T-Gen-More or PCHN-M test. It looks for suspicious blocks of data, trying to catch coordinated attacks, sometimes called SSDF attacks, spectral.
Precisely. And if you don't know the number, or if it's changing all the time, it's tough to set your detection thresholds correctly. They might perform poorly in dynamic situations where the number of attackers fluctuates.
So all these earlier methods showed progress, but each had limitations. Some needed to know the number of attackers, some struggled with subtle attacks, some maybe weren't great in dynamic scenarios. It really highlights the need for something better, right? Something more robust, maybe something that doesn't need to know the number of attackers beforehand.
Exactly. That's the perfect setup. The existing solutions were steps forward, but they often lack the adaptability and resilience needed for the real world, where attacks are clever.
The core idea is, honestly, pretty elegant. It shifts the focus to building and maintaining trust dynamically within the network itself. Like the previous methods, it uses a soft combining approach. Each CSU sends its energy reading to the fusion center.
Okay.
But here's the key difference. The algorithm continuously calculates and updates a reputation score for every single user based on their past behavior.
So it's not just about spotting outliers in one go, it's about checking reliability over time.
Exactly. It builds a history.
The goal is simple. Improve the accuracy of spotting malicious users by learning who to trust. This protects the network's integrity and makes spectrum use way more efficient.
How does it start sorting the good from the bad?
The next step, step 2, is calculating the consensus decision, decons. This is like best guess about the channel's state based on all the reports received in that sensing period.
An average, maybe?
Not just a simple average. This is where the reputation kicks in. The consensus is a weighted average. Users with high reputation scores, the ones who've been trustworthy in the past, the reports count more towards the consensus.
Oh, that's clever. So reliable users have more influence on defining
What the truth looks like for the group.
Exactly. Their voice is louder, mathematically speaking. The formula makes sure of it. It inherently gives more weight to those with good track records, effectively more.
Let's call the deviation delta, AG.
So it measures how far off I am from the trusted view of opinion.
Precisely. It's simply the difference between your report and the consensus. If your report is way off, that deviation value will be large. It raises a flag.
And if a flag is raised, there's a penalty. How does it update the scores?
Yep. Step 4 is the penalty updating reputation, or updated. If your energy value deviates significantly from the consensus, you get penalized. Your reputation score isn't just nudged down, it's updated using an exponential decay function.
Exponential decay. Sounds serious.
It means the penalty gets harsher the further off you are. Big deviation, big drop in reputation. There's a decay factor, the theta, in the formula that controls how steep that drop is.
I've heard of that. Isn't it used in, like, image processing?
You got it. Spot on. Ox's method is famous in image segmentation. Its job is to find the perfect threshold to separate foreground from background in a grayscale image automatically.
Like separating black text from a white page.
Exactly that. It finds the dividing line that minimizes the variance within the two groups, makes all the black pixels as similar as possible, and all the white pixels as similar as possible, while maximizing the variance between the two groups, makes the black group and white group as distinct as possible.
Okay, that makes sense for images.
How does that apply to reputation scores?
It's perfect here because we expect two distinct groups. The good guys, GCSUs, with generally high reputation scores,
Good cluster and the bad cluster.
Precisely. It iterates through possibilities and finds the threshold that gives the cleanest separation based on variance.
And the huge advantage you mentioned earlier. It does this without needing to know beforehand if there are any attackers or how many.
That's one of its biggest strengths. It doesn't need any prior information about the number of MUs. It just looks at the distribution of reputation scores and finds the natural dividing point. It's adaptive and autonomous.
That's a massive improvement over methods that need you to
Guess the number of attackers. Much more practical for the real world where things change.
absolutely crucial. You can't have a system administrator constantly tweaking things based on guessed attack.
The researchers ran extensive simulations to really put it through its paces. They set up a network with 10 CSUs, used a specific decay factor, theta equal 0.1, simulated a noisy environment, SNR of negative 10 dB, and ran it 10,000 times to get statistically solid results.
10,000 iterations. Okay, pretty thorough. What did the reputation scores look like over time?
Figure 1 of the paper tells a very clear story. You see two distinct clusters of scores forming pretty quickly.
The overall reputation R for the malicious users consistently drops much lower than the scores for the genuine users.
So clear separation.
A very clear separation.
Yeah.
And interesting.
attack, that delta value.
Right. This is where the proposed algorithm really shines, as shown in figures 2 and 3. The difference is
Quite dramatic.
Lay it on us.
Okay, even with low attack probability, A01 equals 0.1, and a small attack magnitude, just my bullet point 2, is a tiny distortion.
Yeah.
The proposed
use 100% accuracy.
100%. Flawless detection with just a small distortion.
Flawless. At arrow point 3. Now, compare that to the others.
Let's hear it. How did SSWA do?
SSWA really struggled with low delta values. For instance, at arrow point 5, which is stronger than the point 3 where ours got 100%, and arrow point 1 equals 0.1, SSWA only achieved 7.5% accuracy.
7.5% is basically useless against that kind of attack.
Pretty much. GMAD did better than SSWA, reaching 95.33% accuracy, but it needed that arrow point 5 to get there, whereas our algorithm hit
100% at area equals 0.3.
Okay, so GMID needed stronger attacks to perform well. What about the TM test?
The TM test, remember, had issues needing to know the number of MUs. It's
Algorithm blows the others out of the water, especially detecting those subtle low delta attacks.
unquestionably. It's far more effective in those realistic, stealthy scenarios.
Okay, dominant against attack strength. What about attack probability? If the attackers change how often they lie, does the reputation method still hold up?
It does. Figure 4 shows this clearly. As the attack probability increases, the detection accuracy of the proposed algorithm goes up significantly, hitting 99.15% accuracy at arrow 0.01, assuming a delta of 0.4 this time.
So it gets even better as they attack more often.
Makes sense, more data points to judge them on. How did the others compare here?
again, a huge gap. GMAV ID maxed out at only 57.3% accuracy, even
It's much more robust against varying attack likelihoods.
Absolutely, it adapts well to changing attack patterns.
Okay, one last crucial test. Scalability. What happens if there are more malicious users? Does the system get overwhelmed? How does it perform when, say, a large chunk of the network is malicious?
This is critical for real-world deployment, and Figure 5 shows really encouraging results. The proposed algorithm's accuracy actually increases slightly as the number of MUs goes up.
Increases. That's counterintuitive. Why?
Well, think about it. With more MUs, their collective bad reports might make the
deviation from the shrinking pool of good reports even more obvious, making Otsu's thresholding perhaps even cleaner. The key thing is it remains incredibly stable and accurate, even when
WA drops way down to 29.93%.
So it's robust even under significant attack pressure from numerous sources.
Extremely robust. It demonstrates superior performance and stability, even when a large fraction of the network consists of malicious users. It doesn't crumble under pressure.
That's genuinely impressive. This deep dive has really illuminated not just the problem securing these cognitive radio networks, but also a solution that seems incredibly powerful and, well, elegant.
It really has. We started with a challenge, making sure we use our limited radio spectrum efficiently and securely, especially with cooperative systems like CSS. And we
we saw how Byzantine attacks, these malicious users lying about spectrum availability, can completely undermine that.
But then we explored this reputation-based algorithm, and on it...
consistently outperforms the previous methods across the board against different attack strengths, probabilities, and even when there are lots of attackers.
So, thinking bigger picture, this isn't just an academic exercise. Implementing this kind of algorithm could have real-world benefits, couldn't it? More reliable connections, less interference.
Absolutely. It directly translates to significantly enhanced security and reliability for CSS and CRNs. That means more efficient use of that precious spectrum.
Which ultimately leads to things like fewer dropped calls for you, faster data speeds, more stable connections for all the wireless stuff we rely on. It shores up the foundation of our digital lives.
Could use similar principles, this idea of building trust and penalizing deviation based on behavior. In other complex systems where trust is vital, it may be hard to guarantee upfront.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Think about huge online communities. Could reputation scores help manage trust or even combat misinformation? What about decentralized finance, where the whole system relies on honest participation? Or even just how information spreads and gets validated on social media?
Yeah, where else could this kind of dynamic
Reputation-based classification make a difference?
What other areas could benefit? What really stood out to you from this deep dive today that you'll be mulling over?